In this video, you'll learn about the fourth secret, which I believe is critical to avoiding a relapse. You'll discover that continuing with your recommended treatment plan, staying in therapy, following through with sober living, life coaching, recovery coaching, whatever it is that's recommended is key if you want to avoid a relapse, along with why it is so important if you want to avoid that slip. I'll share my experience with following a recommended treatment plan, and based upon that information, you'll be able to figure out how it works for you. So lean in, listen carefully, because this episode could have a significant impact on how you can make it to a year and much closer to living a kick-ass sober life. This video is like an AA meeting, and that most people are sober, thinking about getting sober, should be sober. So if you hear something that resonates with you, please share in the comment section. What you share might resonate with someone else and possibly save them from a relapse or maybe even save their life. Every review counts, every comment counts. So please don't be shy. Please share. You must continue with your recommended treatment plan, meaning you must follow through with your recommended treatment plan, your full treatment plan. Don't leave AMA. Be sure to go to a PHP, IOP, graduate, stay in sober living, get a recovery coach, go to 90 meetings in 90 days. If you want to give yourself the best chance of making it to a year, follow suggestions. You're going to come up with this plan with a professional. You're going to come up with this plan with your case manager, your aftercare therapist, your family, your significant others. And many times what happens is that people come up with a plan, they start to feel better, they start to get a few things back, and then they decide, hey, I don't think I need to go to meetings anymore. I don't think I need to follow through and finish therapy. I don't think I need to finish IOP. And people come, or, the other thing I see a lot actually is when people have something that they don't agree with, like they don't agree with the therapist, they don't agree with the case manager, they don't agree with, or they get into a tiff with one of the other patients or one of the other clients. Like those are all really good reasons to leave AMA. I've seen it. And really, when someone leaves AMA, 10 out of 10 times, not even 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times, it's just a reason to go relapse. And so just be conscious and be aware that whenever you're telling yourself that you should leave AMA, you should move out early, it's not worth the money, it's not worth my time, I need to get my life started, I need to get back to living my life, I don't want to spend my whole life in therapy. Like, hey, spending 6 months of your life in therapy and following through with your recovery. Remember, you drank and used for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, however long it was. So to expect that you can just change your thinking and reprogram the way that you live your life in a short period of time is just, it's unreasonable. And making it to a year, like that's the first goal. So Dr. Gabor Mate, one of the #1 addiction doctors in the world, says the question is, why the pain? It's not why the addiction. The addiction is the solution. It's why the pain. And you must seek professional guidance to confront the world of the emotional issues that caused you to drink and use in the first place. You must learn how to deal with these issues and relationships in a healthy way, and it takes time. And you need a professional to help you with these issues. So the issues that are causing you to drink, drug, act out, overeat, gamble, etc. And so there was a fellow, I'm going to call him John. I saw John come into the rooms of AA after he went to treatment. He went to treatment for 45 days, and after treatment, he started doing AA. He started coming to AA. He did not continue with IOP. So he left his IOP. He said, I'm good. I got this. And mind you, John is a successful businessman. He owns a business. He makes good money. He's married. He's got a couple of kids. So from the outside, it looks like John has his life together. However, underneath all of it, John doesn't have his life together. John's empty, restless, irritable, discontent. So he goes to treatment, and like most people, not most people, but a lot of people think that treatment is to learn how to stop drinking, to learn how to stop doing drugs. And while you do stop drinking and doing drugs, that's just one of the things. Really, like, your whole life has to change if you want long-term recovery, if you want to be happy, joyous, and free. Remember, like 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐽 says, the question's why the pain? It's the pain. The drink and the drug is the solution. So John stopped going to IOP, didn't continue seeing a therapist, and even in AA, he wasn't really working a 12-step program. He didn't get a sponsor. He didn't go through the steps. He showed up at meetings. He made lots of friends at meetings. He actually got pretty vulnerable and honest at meetings. But on the side, John is still acting out. He's still engaging in alcoholic behaviors. And when I say alcoholic behaviors, I mean the lying, the cheating, and the stealing. And for example, John was married, right? He's married. He's got a couple of kids. John started seeing another girl on the side that he got from Seeking Arrangements, which is a website where you pay. I mean, basically it's a hooker, right? So John on the side, he's got this hooker, and his wife lives somewhere else. So he's able to have this hooker. He has this relationship with this hooker. Meanwhile, he's clean and sober, but he's not living the principles in all of his affairs. And I'm just like, okay, and I'm trying not to judge, right? I don't want to judge because, hey, I'm not perfect. He's got his own deal, but he's not working a 12-step program, because people that work a 12-step program, you're living an honest life. You're doing the next right thing. You're having hard conversations. If he was having issues with his wife, he should have talked to his sponsor and his therapist and said, okay, let's have a conversation with my wife. Something was going on. And instead of having the hard conversation with his wife, what he did was he went and got a hooker and built this relationship with the hooker. And his wife, actually, I think she found like a hair or something in her bed, because she came back to Scottsdale and she found a hair in her bed, and she asked John about the hair, and he said, oh, or maybe she found a rubber. I don't know. She found something, but John's like, oh, well, no, my employee, he kind of blamed it on one of his employees. Oh yeah, my employee had had a girl back here. So his wife, being suspicious, not totally believing him, right? She ends up putting a camera in his house. And guess what she sees on the camera, right? He sees the girl. He sees her naked. She sees her naked. She sees them having sex. So, okay, now John's wife leaves him, and now he's no longer married, and his life is in shambles. He's not drinking, supposedly. He's not drinking, not doing drugs. I'm over here on the side. I'm watching all of this. I can kind of see what's going on, and I'm just like, oh man, this is not good. Because poor John, I know what's going on in John's life, in his heart. He's empty. He's restless. He's like, the reason why he's reaching for this hooker is, that's a solution. John's also a compulsive gambler. John's going to Vegas, and he's gambling lots of money, not like $100 or $200. He's gambling like, and not even $5 or $10 grand. He's gambling more than that. He's gambling a lot of money. So there's gambling addiction, there's sex addiction. So he's not drinking or doing drugs, but he's got all these other behaviors going on the side. And for me, I'm like, ooh, man, because I know what's coming. I know eventually he's not going to be able to stay clean and sober. There's no way. Because the guilt and the shame associated, or that comes from those types of behaviors, is too much. It's too much. That's going to lead back to drinking and using. So this was about 3 years, it happened. It's happened over about 3 years anyways. And he's a good dude. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. I can see that he's not working a program. I can see he's not living an honest life. I remember we were at a meeting, and the topic was living the principles in all your affairs. And John was like scratching his head. He didn't really get it. It's like, dude, you don't get it because you're not fucking working a program. You don't have a sponsor. You haven't gone through the steps. You're not really doing the deal. Like, you got to do the deal. You got to do the deal. If you want to stay clean and sober long term, okay, temporarily you can white knuckle it, but long term, you want to stay clean and sober long term, you got to live the principles. You got to go through the 12-step process. You've got to work with a therapist. You've got to do the work underneath. And it's not, and even like, hey, AA was my foundation. I built my foundation from AA, but AA is not everything. There's other things. And even with AA, there's, you've got like the big AA meetings where there's lots of people. And quite honestly, a lot of times it's not even appropriate to totally share. Like, I know that I have to have a filter when I'm at bigger meetings. I really like the smaller meetings, the more intimate meetings where I can truly get vulnerable. I can get honest. I can share what's really going on in my life. And I have men around me that can hold me accountable and call me out on my shit. That's what works for me. So getting back to John. So here we are 3 years later. And of course, John starts using. And he's been using for, I think, I don't know, 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something like that. He actually just came clean. And I'm just like, man, I mean, the guilt and the shame associated with his behaviors, there's no way you're going to be able to stay clean and sober for a long period of time if you're not living clean. And like, I know even for me, if I do even like the little things, like I buy a lot of things on Amazon. For the most part, free returns, but occasionally, you get that Amazon return and they try to charge you for shipping, and the box is no longer needed and they charge you for shipping. And I'm like, no. I don't want to, like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to pay for shipping. And then I change it from no longer needed to the product was damaged or inaccurate description on the website because I don't want to pay for shipping. And it's like a couple dollars, right? It's like $3.99 for shipping. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to pay for it. But then I sit there and I think about it and I pause when agitated or doubtful. I'm like, oh, I got to be honest here. Those little things, I've learned how to live an honest life. And I had a backpack that I bought. It was for hiking the Grand Canyon. It was a trail running backpack. And I bought the wrong size. I bought a large, I needed a medium, and I used it a couple of times. And of course, Amazon free returns, which is great, which is awesome. However, I missed the return period. So, and I'm sitting there and it's a $150 backpack, which is kind of a lot for a backpack. And so I'm like, okay, I buy the medium, and what am I going to do? My first thought, okay, this is alcoholic Tim. This is my alcoholic thinking, my alcoholic behavior. I'm going to return the large in the same package with the medium that I bought because I was past the return period for the large. So I'm going to put the large in the medium container and I'm going to return it that way. But then I sit there and I think about it and I'm like, I can't do it. It's not worth it. The guilt and the shame associated with that type of behavior is not worth it to me. I know the benefit of living a clean life, of being honest, of living the principles in all my affairs. I don't ever want to go back to drinking and using. And hey, I'm probably not going to drink over something small like that, but something small like that is what leads to something bigger. The small things lead to the big things. And also, I don't like making amends. And I know that I'd have to make an amends if I ended up returning this large backpack in the medium container. And so I ended up not doing it. And actually, I ended up selling the backpack to a friend who is bigger than me. It's a great backpack. It was just too big for me. So it ended up working out. But regardless, I know just following through with the recommended treatment plan, staying in therapy, getting underneath all the things so that I learned how to live a different life. I changed my lifestyle. I've changed my thinking. It's not to say I don't occasionally revert back to my old thinking, obviously, but I'm able to catch myself. I have a heightened level of awareness now. And that is like, I feel great about the man I am today. And I surround myself with men or people that have what I want, people that have the same type of behavior. So that's it on that. So wrapping things up. If you've been to an inpatient treatment, you likely have been given an aftercare plan. Follow the aftercare plan. It takes time for your thinking to change. More than 90% of people in the first year relapse. So within the first year, 90% of people relapse. And 67% of people that make it to a year make it to 5 years. 85% of people that make it to 5 years make it for life. Doctors, dentists, airline pilots are required to be monitored for 5 years if they get in trouble for drug or alcohol related issues. The success rate is over 85% for these people. Your best thinking got you where you are today. If you want to change your thinking and change your life, you must be willing to take suggestions, even if you don't agree with them. Follow your treatment plan that was laid out for you. It was designed specifically by a professional for you, by your case manager, your interventionist, your therapist. If you get involved with the 12-step fellowship or some other self-help group, follow the suggestions. Get a sponsor, work the steps, get a home group, get a service commitment, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, get involved. I've seen many people come to one of our sober living homes. They say they're going to stay for 3 months. Then they start to feel better. I mentioned this earlier. They start to think that they don't need to be in sober living anymore. They don't need the rules. They don't need the curfew. They have this thing figured out. They say, I'm good. I don't need sober living anymore. They are never going to drink again. I'm never going to drink again. I'm never going to use again. Like, I got this thing. You don't understand. I'm never going to do it again. They stop seeing their therapist. They don't need to continue with IOP. For whatever reason, money, they think they have it figured out. Alcoholics and drug addicts are smart. And we can rationalize anything and make anything sound good. There are so many things that happen in the first year that you'll get to experience for the very first time while clean and sober. Your birthday, other birthdays, New Year's Eve, Christmas, new relationships, anniversaries, you find a new job, you get fired, you move to a new area, you have a roommate. If you're going to make a change to your plan, just be sure to talk with your case manager, your interventionist, your therapist, your sponsor, etc. Getting all parties to agree would be the only way that it might be a good idea to change your plan. So here's a quick review about the insights you and I both rediscovered in this video. Staying in therapy and continuing with your recommended treatment plan is key to avoiding a relapse. I went over why it is so important to stick with your plan, and I shared my experience with how I've been able and I've seen people follow through with their recommended treatment plan. Based upon what you've heard in this episode, you can figure out how it works for you. And remember, these insights will only work for you if you work them. So please make sure you apply what you've learned in this episode or in this video, because if you do, you will be on your way to living a kick-ass sober life. And I think you'll agree that's exciting to think about. Remember, these insights will only work for you if you work them. So please make sure you apply what you've learned in this episode of I Love Being Sober. Because if you do, you will be on your way to living a kick-ass sober life. I'm sure that's exciting to think about. Before we end this episode, or before we end this video, I want you to type in your biggest takeaway or aha moment you experienced during this video. in the comment section. So go ahead, declare your one big takeaway in the comment section. It'll take just 60 seconds out of your day, but what you declare could provide you with a lifetime of happiness and freedom. Okay, that does it for this video. I'm Tim Westbrook. I hope that our paths cross again in the next video. And do whatever it takes to join me for the next video in this series, because I'm going to dig into secret number 5, make self-care a priority. I encourage you to invite a friend, a loved one, or a sponsee to subscribe to this channel. I can't wait to connect with you then. It will be an insightful video, so I really want you to join us with your loved one. If you found this video to be of value, be sure to like it, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos, leave a comment if you have a question, if you've got something to say. Camelback Recovery provides treatment services for people struggling with mental health, mental illness, addiction, alcoholism. So if you or someone you know is struggling, be sure to reach out to us. You can go to our website, camelbackrecovery.com, or our information is in the comment section below. And we provide everything from detox, inpatient, outpatient treatment, sober living, recovery coaching, sober companion services. So either we'll be able to help you or we'll be able to refer you to people or treatment centers that might be a better fit. So I will see you in the next video.